Relationships are at the core of Aboriginal culture, and if we translate that into the professional domain for ourselves, we need to engage and value that process. Engaging community is no different to any other relationship that we have, that you've got to continually work at it, and there's going to be the highs and lows. I talk about being persistent to build confidence, and it's a two-way process, not only for your staff, but also for community. And I think it's important to have regular contact with community on an informal basis to build up that confidence so people can have discussions. One of the most strongest things that I think a practitioner can do is to attend a community event. If you ever have that opportunity to do that outside, something that's not run by the department, something that's run by the Aboriginal community, that gains a lot of respect from the community, and then they'll be more than willing to engage when you want that process to occur.
So I think that's really important from a community perspective. I think that it sends a very strong message of authenticity, which is one of the biggest things that I think community want to see from a school leader. And then in moving it on down, they want to see authenticity at the coalface, so with classroom teachers. So as a leader in the school, it's really important that you pass that message on and lead by example to classroom teachers to ensure that it's happening throughout the entire school, not just at one level.
Yep.
And really important for sustainability.
And I think it's about educating your staff around what the community's perspectives are of and point of views are of schools, because they are very different to what ours are at times. The cultural immersion program that's starting to be rolled out now is going to be a very powerful tool for schools to educate their staff so they can have those discussions. And how does that translate to a practical thing? Well, the personalised learning plans, everybody has a role to play in that construction of the PLP and the implementation of it. It's just not up to the staff to action things, it's up to the parent as well, and obviously the student. But sometimes we forget the role of the parent or the community person there. They need to take ownership of that and have a contribution to that process as well.
A lot of times people get bogged down with actually completing the paperwork, and I suppose I challenge people to think about whether it's paper or process. And for Aboriginal community, they want to see the process. And the paperwork at the end of the day is not the most important thing. It's the process that you went through to ensure that community views and parents' needs and aspirations for their children are evident in teaching and learning program.
An important thing that I think is attendance and membership of the local AECG. We can all become an associate member. The fact that you go along to those meetings, those organisations, is a very, very powerful message to say that you value that. And I think it's important because you get an opportunity or a forum to talk about what's going on in your school, and I think that's very important. And it's also in an environment where people feel relaxed to ask questions about the school. And at times that can be confronting and challenging, but we need to work through that. It's important that community are exposed to all the resources available. At some point in time when people are ready for it, expose them to what funding pools are available and what you're currently doing with those, and then you shape the direction. They're going to have ownership over it, and then they're going to be far more likely to engage with that process. I think that's absolutely vital.
We have to be conscious of the fact that sometimes schools, we're always asking something from community. We need to be sure as a school we're actually giving something back. Because it's always very easy to ask community to come in and do something or support us in some way. If you wait in your school for community to come to you, you're going to be waiting a very long time. You need to make sure that you get out there and get to things like your local AECG, get to know who those people are, and also encourage it from the top down. It doesn't just need to be the school leaders doing that, it needs to be everybody.
As the AECG is becoming stronger, and we need to develop the capacity of our community members to take on leadership roles within the school and with other organisations like the P&C and the AECG. We have the skills, we're in those sorts of settings, we can develop the capacity, and then they become the advocates for us in the community themselves. So if you could think about that and think about targeting a couple of parents initially to develop their skill set. It'll go a long way as being a productive tool for you.
It's about valuing community knowledge, always taking into consideration the fact that as Aboriginal community members, we want our children to achieve. Just because they might not be up at the front office when you send a letter home saying that there's a meeting doesn't mean that we don't want the same things for our children that non-Aboriginal parents want for theirs. I think one important question that as school leaders we can ask ourselves is, are you assisting the community to grow long after you've gone? Because what happens in schools, and we all know it, that principals move on, teachers move on, people get promotions, but communities rarely change. And those people stay in those communities and they're linked to those communities forever. These are really exciting times coming up. As an Aboriginal person, as an educator, I'm really excited about the innovation that can take place over the next few years. One of the things that I think that is always fell away for us in Aboriginal education is sustainability. And as school leaders, you have the opportunity to ensure that all of the things you do under the National Partnership Program is sustainable. So it's planning for that and ensuring that that framework is right.